Hey guys, we are live. Welcome to Women Wednesday. Today is oh my God, to September 26th, Women Wednesday. I have Karina conmigo hoy. What up,
It's actually
Karina?
August. It's actually August 26th.
Oh my God, I'm looking at my September calendar. We'll delete that, guys. Disregard. August 26th. On that, I was going to talk about that. The fact that it's the last Wednesday of August. We have 4 months left, and it's the end of the year. That's it. All of our plans, ambitions, things we wanted to manifest, we either did or they're idle or everything's changed, right?
Right, exactly. It's gone by too fast, and the corona doesn't make anything so much better. So
I know. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to try to share this from my phone, this live. How's everybody doing today? Let us know in the comments. We'll get started in about a second. How was your morning today, Karina?
I'm up. I was organizing, so I've been cleaning and organizing. It's just that kind of thing. I just recuperated from being like really sick for the last 2.5 weeks. So I think every time I get sick after that, I just want to clean and organize and restart again.
Yeah.
So
Wow. Yeah. It's that kind of time of year. So,
exactly, yeah.
and on that. So, welcome everybody. Welcome to Women Wednesday with United Latinas. Today I have Karina Ramirez with me. And I want to give you guys a quick little story on how I met Karina. It was actually on our first launch event for United Latinas. And all I heard out of her mouth was climate lobby and citizens climate lobby. And I'm like, what? And that was it. And I think that that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today, but also other things and engagement with our civic duties. And I think that that's where we really have a similar thought process, is our need as Latinas and Latinos to be engaged civically in the matters, in the issues that matter. So I know you've been involved in a lot. You want to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about, or tell the world about you.
Tell the world about me. Okay, yeah. Well, thanks so much for the opportunity. It's just it's nice to be back and finally like get re-energized again with United Latina. Yeah, it's been a couple of years now that we've known each other. We've come a long way. When we met, I had just barely started my volunteerism with an organization called Citizen Climate Lobby, and in from that time until now, I'm actually now part of their staff. So I am the diversity outreach manager for the organization on a national level. And this is an organization dedicated to just encouraging people to think about climate issues and getting them politically involved in writing to the elected official, reminding them that we as people on this planet care about climate issues and that we want solutions. What drew me to the organization is that is bipartisan, which is extremely odd in this kind of political environment that we live in. But I've learned so much about like the importance of writing to elected officials, of talking to them constantly. So it really does embody the whole system of you need to be involved in the process. So anything that helps us be part of this political process is extremely helpful. And prior to being with CCL, the acronym, I was a journalist. That was my career for a decade. I lived in Dallas. Anyone from Dallas? Hello. That's where I made my career. It was working for on behalf of the Latino community and writing stories of things that impact us. So everything that I've done ever since is wanting to get my community involved in different issues. So now is about civic engagement and civic duty.
Mm-hmm. And I love that because I'm such a strong believer. I think our community as a whole isn't doing enough, isn't aware enough, isn't doesn't have all of the issues necessarily presented to them all of the time. They're not, just they're not in the know of what's really happening behind the scenes in many cases. And we need to be, like we talked about before, they don't teach this stuff at school. We don't go through a class that tells us who our elected officials are, who are the people that we need to, who are go-to people in our town. You know, we don't get taught that. And even as adults, I don't know everyone that you know is my, you know, is it's in my district, and I couldn't even tell somebody go contact this person specifically. But we need to know that. We need to know that. So
Yeah.
there's a lot. Mhm. Yeah, for
No,
sure. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, yeah, it makes it harder, I think, as we become adults to think about these things because everyone's just so busy just trying to get the things that we need to do. If you're a family with children, you're trying to make sure that those kids are going to school and doing all your stuff and taking care. And then at the same time, it's like, I'm working, I'm trying to get by. Like, why do I care about these things? Why are these things important? And the more that I participate in everything that I do, it's like, yeah, it's really important. And I can't, I've been slowly forgiving myself for having neglected the fact that my voice was really important in all of this. So now all I'm doing is just passing out the information. So that's what we're going to talk about. And I'm really excited about passing information that I think we all should know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So let's get started. Let's talk about kind of some of the issues that are right now in front of us that we could do something about. We were talking about.
Okay, so we were talking about this during our United Latinas meeting. So one important thing is to fill out your census. I cannot say this enough. Fill out your census. It is very important and critical that you do. So what is the census? The census is a count that takes place every 10 years inside the U.S. It's something that is mandated by the U.S. Constitution. Legally, every person that lives in the United States, regardless of your status, needs to be counted. So they call this the census. For this year is the 2020 census, if you haven't heard it. So go to 2020census.gov. What they've done this year in comparison to previous years is to have this questionnaire that you fill out for less than 15 minutes. They have it online. So they made it extremely easy for you. Backstory. When in 2000, I lived here in Florida, and I actually was a census taker. It was one of the jobs that I did. I actually went around making sure that people filled out the census. And I did that around the Miramar area, Miami area, where I used to live at the time. It was on foot. I was the person knocking on doors. So if you see people that come to your house knocking on doors and telling you that they represent the U.S. government, the U.S. Census Bureau, they're there to help you fill out the form because their entire purpose of being is to make sure that you're counted. So what has happened in the last couple of weeks, earlier in August, the U.S. Census Bureau announced that they moved the deadline. But there was a lot of deadlines that took place this year. So officially, on April 1st, you went and you filled out the census, whether you did that online, whether you did it on paper. You went and filled out this little questionnaire, basically, where do you live, who lives with you, and is everything always like, where were you on April 1st? And then they give you different instructions to fill that out. What happened because of the coronavirus, they moved the deadline by a couple of more months. So it was supposed to be October 31st because of the coronavirus. But earlier this month, they announced that it is September 30th. So you have until September 30th to fill out the form, whether you got a postcard in the mail or something to tell you, hey, go to this website and put in this number. Make sure you go and fill it out. If you haven't received any of those, just go to the 2020census.gov website. They have it in English and Spanish. Go and fill out the questionnaire. Why is this important? Outside that it's mandated by the U.S. Constitution, so it's by law that you must fill that out, or at least they're encouraging to do it. The census allows for a government officials to sort of look where people live, and they determine the resources that go into different communities. So think about if you want a new school, they're going to go and look at data of the census to kind of be like, well, do we need this new school in this new area or in this new city? The census determines where your roads are going to go. It's going to determine. There's just so much in there. There's just so much that impacts how we live, and it's incredible that when you don't do this questionnaire, you're missing out on ensuring that everybody's counted and ensuring that our community gets the resources that they need.
Yeah.
And that includes like hurricane aid. You know, just think of anything practical that you use. They look at census data in order for you to be able to get those resources. So that's why that's important.
Yeah. That's critical. We got to be counted. We got to be counted. And like you said, it's the resources to the schools. It's the resources to the aid, first responders, things like that. All of that matters. And, we won't know. They won't know until we fill it out. Hopefully many of you have already, because I know it was earlier in the beginning of the year and it was so important. So hopefully but wasn't there a statistic that we read recently that only 61% or some small, there's still a gap in how many people have actually responded? We would think by now most people have, but tell your neighbors. Because some people are not.
Yeah, what you're referring to is the census response rate. So there's this percentage. So right now, what the census has done, and I think it's extremely brilliant, is put that information online. And every day they're usually telling you, hey, these are the numbers of households, because that's how they divide the information. These are the numbers of households that have responded to the questionnaire. So for the state of Florida, it's 61% right now, which incredibly enough is the same thing in Palm Beach County.
Yeah.
So 61% of the households have responded to the census questionnaire. We want to be able to see more than 80. Ideally, I would like to see 100.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it can get complicated. Sometimes people move, sometimes they don't remember when they were on April 1st.
Sure.
So that's why, we need a lot of people to just, again, go fill it out. If you filled it out, pass the word, continue passing the word. Again, the deadline is September 30th. Make sure you get it done. When I filled out my census, I got a little postcard in the mail. It came with a link. It came with a little like ID number that I needed to put in my computer, and I filled it out. So it came directly to my apartment.
Yeah.
It's super easy.
Yeah. Awesome. We'll put the link below for just the census link so everybody can check. And then now we want to talk about the other critical civic issue.
The other one. The other one is
the
voting.
Most important one.
The most important one this year is voting. I truly hope that everyone has been participating as much as they can. Ideally, everyone should. Hopefully, you did participate in the primary that we just had earlier this month. But we have a November 3rd presidential election. The deadline to register to vote is October 5th. Make sure you do it before that.
Is that also for mail-in, or is there another deadline, or is it done at the same time? How does that work?
So October 5th is to register to vote. You can do that online.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the deadline to register to vote, register by mail to vote.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be postmarked by October 5th. Now, the deadline to request the ballot by mail, and this is the one thing that has been coming up more and more, is they have to have received your request by mail by Saturday, October 24th. But if you were me, and I hope you're me, make your deadline October 5th. So go to the website, and I'm going to tell you about 2 websites locally. Every single county that you're a part of has an office of the supervisor of elections. So Palm Beach County has one, Broward County has one, and we're going to put these links underneath the conversation as soon as we're done. So Palm Beach County is pbcelections.org. You go on there and you make sure you can do a couple of things there. One, you can verify if you're already registered to vote. This is a good thing. You should go and check. 2, if you haven't, you can actually register to vote right there. And 3, you can actually go and request your ballot by mail. That's what
Awesome.
I did during the primary. I actually went to check to make sure that all my information was correct. My name and my address is very specific. That make sure that whatever you have on your license or your documentation for your identification matches what is on your voter card. Because a lot of things can change and things will get returned, and sometimes the vote don't count because of something as simple as there was something a misspelling error.
Hmm.
So make sure to check. For Broward County, the website is browardsoe.org. Again, both of these are the supervisor of election offices for Palm Beach County and for Broward County. And in both of those websites, you can actually go and see what your status is and when was the last time you voted. And all of that information is, it's given to you because you're citizens of the U.S. and they're entitled to keep that information there.
Yeah. And it'll also have their address, correct? Because one thing that people have been worried about is the mail system, right? But you could actually take your mail in ballot and drop it off there personally. So I think to kind of relieve some
Right.
worry of I'm going to drop it in the mailbox and not know, that's a great place to secure that it got into the right hands on time.
Exactly. So there's right now the big concern about the changes that are taking place inside the United States Postal Service, and it's turning into like a big controversy, and it doesn't really need to be, right? But that, we'll leave that to the politicians to go and debate. But for us, for what we need to know is that you can request your ballot by mail, and you can actually turn it in the day of election. You can turn it in prior to voting to the office of the supervisor of elections. They actually have like a little box that looks like a mailbox. It's right outside their offices. And when I went to vote this time around, people just went in, got out of the car, dropped off the ballot. It was simple. It was easy. I like the mail-in ballot. It was the first time that I actually done it that way because I usually vote on election day. But because of the coronavirus, I decided that I just wanted to take caution. Like I am not in a lot of public places right now, especially because I have a very bad immune system. So I'm taking care of myself and trying to make sure that I take care of others. So the mail by vote, vote by mail system actually allowed me to research my candidate to make sure that I was selecting, the correct one that I wanted. It gave me more time, which was great. And then all I did was just drove over and dropped it off in the little mailbox, and it was great.
That's awesome. That makes it easy because people don't want to stand in line or fear and with everything that's happening. So it's a great solution if you're worried to just go drop it off. And it's like the mailbox, like you just stick it in, right? Do you have to get out the car? No,
No,
right?
yeah, you go and stick it in. It looks like a mailbox. You just go and drop it off, and it's big enough. And I love that everybody was there and they were, wearing their masks and just being cautious.
Yeah.
Which I think is a great thing.
Yeah.
But good, with both of these things, with both of the census and elections, what you're doing is really participating in your democratic process, right? Our country has set up this wonderful system where you go and you participate, and you are literally just using your voice through participating in this, using your civic duty to participate. Through the census, you are letting our federal officials know, hey, I live here. You should take notice that I am a person that lives here and need different resources. Through voting, you're telling them, okay, this is what I want for my community. They're both actually doing the exact same thing, and all you're doing is just participating.
I love that. Amen, man. And that's what we need to do. We need to do more. We need to be engaged more in the process. Thank you so much, Karina, for this time and for sharing this great information. We're going to make sure we put the links on the bottom of this. And thank you for being on Women Wednesday.
Hey, you're welcome. It's a pleasure.
I love you and hope you guys have a blessed rest of the day, and stay tuned for next Wednesday, Women Wednesday.
Bye,
Take
guys.
care, guys.